Charlie, give us an example of a word that had to be changed.
Okay, there were several words that I wound up changing, but the most important ones I'd like to talk about a little bit. The first one I want to address is the word church. This is an easy one for any Greek scholar knows that the word church should never have appeared in an English language translation of the New Testament. In fact, the first guy who ever translated the New Testament from Greek into English, another guy had done it from Latin into English, but from Greek into English, actually did not use the word church anywhere in his translation. But leaders in Christianity at that time forced the king, when he did the King James translation, to say the word church will be used, nothing else will be used. Well, I didn't use that word. In our culture, the word church means a building, and to be frank, the Greek word that is the root for our word church means a building. But that particular Greek word only appears one time in the New Testament. The word church is the wrong word.
So what should this word be?
All right. The Greek word means a group of people gathered, pulled together for a purpose. And that's a team. It can be a football team, it can be an engineering team, it can be any kind of team. It's a team, a group of people working together toward a purpose. Purpose for Christians is ministry. So for God, his teams are ministry teams, and they can be any kind of ministry. You could have ministries to widows, orphans, poor people, addicts, prisoners, and you can have a ministry of prayer where all you do is focus on praying, but purpose is ministry. The church building idea, the church as a building, has all kinds of wrong traditions associated with it. It was the wrong word.
What kind of wrong traditions do you see as coming from the use of this word?
All right, we have a habit in our culture of calling Sunday the Lord's Day. In the New Testament, every day is the Lord's Day. Nothing ever says that Sunday is especially the Lord's Day. And we call the building that Christians meet in the Lord's house. But the Bible says the Lord of heaven does not dwell in houses made by human hands. So with these two habits, calling the building the Lord's house and Sunday the Lord's Day, we can have Mother's Day syndrome. On Mother's Day, I go to Mother's house. While I'm in Mother's house, I put on a show of obeying Mother's rules. As soon as I leave Mother's house, I go back to my own rules. On the Lord's Day, I'd go to the Lord's house, and while I was in the Lord's house, I'd put on a show of obeying the Lord's rules. But as soon as I left the Lord's house, I'd go back to my own rules. That's entirely the wrong message. The team meeting is supposed to be to train the team to get out and do the job. In other cases, we, in our culture, because we're calling a building the church, we have one day a week and generally about 1 hour a week, sometimes more than one day a week, but 1 or 2 hours that we meet in this building, and it's the wrong time for some people. So what we're telling people who have to work at that time, oh, we just don't care about you. And on top of that, we make that building the place for conversion. And so if you want to know anything about Christianity, if you want to become a Christian, you got to go to that building. And if you can't make it to that building, well, sorry, you just don't fit in. On top of that, that church building becomes culturally restrictive. In any church building, you'll have a group, maybe 25, maybe 50, maybe 100, maybe 1,000, 10,000, however many you have. All the people are going to share a general common culture. And if you have a culture other than that culture, you won't fit in. And that forces some people to say, I just don't want to be in that situation. And on top of that, the church building is expensive. Most of the budget of most congregations is spent on the building, the equipment that goes in the building, equipment to make people comfortable, or the staff that it takes to operate that building and the functions related to that building. very small margin is left over for any real ministry work. So we've been talking about the 21st century New Testament. That New Testament helps people see that it's not a building, it's a ministry team. And getting that New Testament and reading it will show you a view of Christianity better than any you've ever seen, better than any traditional translation can provide you. I encourage you to go to the website ncm-21.com. That's for New Century Ministries, 21st Century. So ncm-21.com to find more information about this New Testament and about what it means to be a Christian, some good articles, and on top of that, the entire glossary for this New Testament, which is a really good read in itself. That glossary is on that website, searchable, and it will provide links where you can buy the 21st century New Testament. And I encourage you to do that, start reading it, because it will change your life.